Man, have I were given a good one for you nowadays. There's a brand new clip with Brad Garlinghouse going around. I have a few of them, truly. I even have a clip from David Schwartz from a little bit ago that you need to see. This goes to be a fantastic video. Let's play it. Let's move ahead and get into it. My buddies, let's start here. It says Brad Garlinghouse now is the best virtual asset actually poised to remedy a hassle at scale. A worldwide payments trouble, payment glide that might be going from dollar to Mexican peso. And you're conserving a dollar, you're promoting that greenback and buying XRP, you're shifting that XRP across the XRP ledger to Shall We Embrace Bitso, who is right here inside the target audience nowadays. You're selling the XRP, you're buying Mexican peso. By permitting that liquidity to move from greenback to peso in actual time, you are converting how that oil is greasing the engine of correspondent banking. So for us in a global of hype, in a global of experimentation, in a world wherein humans communicate about the possibility and in reality the hypothesis of digital property, we sense like XRP is the handiest digital asset genuinely poised to resolve a problem at scale, a worldwide bills trouble, a global bills problem, absolutely. And then also appearance, this may be lots of us, right? Minus some extra money is in XRP and this is what we've got for food. I love that. All right, here you go. There were multiple exciting matters after that Bitcoin ETF turned into permitted. Oh, sorry, this isn't the brand new Brad Garlinghouse. This isn't always the new Braga growing residence clip I want to play, however that is main up into it. Statement one, and I paraphrase here, became effectively Gary Garance is announcing simply due to the fact we allowed the Bitcoin ETF. Do not suppose we are now going to allow a bunch of other crypto property. The second interesting component changed into the rate of Ether skyrocketed without delay after on hopes that they could now subsequently be an ETF. What are the chances of that? I suppose it is a fact. First of all, the Ethereum ETF didn't without a doubt skyrocket. I suggest it did not move greater than what, 10%. You realize like a skyrocket to me is like 50 or 100%. I assume that the Ethereum ETF is slowly constructing up and people are starting to get in now and ultimately buying it. But it did now not have the same fucking gravita. It's the same pleasure because the Bitcoin ETF, and I'm hoping the XRP ETF brings even greater pleasure, right? Because that is exactly what we want. So billions greater flowing into the industry. I'm now not going to place a horizon at the time, but I think there might be different ETFs for positive. An XRP one, there could be different ETFs for sure. But an XRP one. I love this sport we are playing. I am very brilliant. The sadder part of that truth is with a Bitcoin ETF simplest due to the fact the US said to the SEC, you are being arbitrary and capricious on your utility of the law. What might be unhappy is that if each ETF had to go through that equal journey and for Gary Gensler to get smacked down by using the United States court docket device once more. It might be essential, however, once more, sooner or later, I suppose Gary Gensler won't be the chair of the SEC. Do you watch Gary Gensler walks around the is like this? All proper. Also right here, Breakout, Xrp Breakout this Tuesday and Wednesday will confirm that the simulation we are able to live inside the first segment will be done over 450%. March 2017 second phase was loading 800% on May 2017. So I guess this is simply displaying some older explosions of the identical. Maybe we've got the same sort of setup as 2017. What to look how that plays out. Here's David Schwartz talking about that is from 2021, but this is speaking about that blockchain meltdowns are a thing. Let me play this for you. I thought this became truly exciting. Negative in L is a function that I am noticeably enthusiastic about, but it's very difficult for me to bring that excitement without. It is a bit bittersweet. It's kind of like in case you invented a technology that would make it less possibly for a nuclear reactor to soften down, like how would the nuclear reactor enterprise sell that improvement proper? They could have to talk approximately how terrible meltdowns are to tell you the way first rate the error is, and of root they don't need to do this. Proper? Nobody in the nuclear reactor enterprise wants to talk about how terrible a meltdown is. They need to pretend that they do not exist, true. But let's be sincere, blockchains have failure modes. Bitcoin, as an example, has a double spend. Bitcoin had an accidental fork in 2013. Ethereum had the DAO attack. And there are residual failure modes in blockchains, and I suppose it's most vital that we maintain to innovate to reduce the chances of them going on and decrease their severity. Even if it is a bit embarrassing for the industry to point the finger at those remember quantum computers are around the nook, people are going to have the ability to buy them, especially horrific actors. What do you watched they're going to do with the one's quantum computer systems? I'll let your thoughts just start to begin to think of thoughts. But like my first matters that come to my mind, infrastructure, the quick device, right, the net connection strains among nations, they could get into all of that and close all of it down like we could, you believe, like 4 or 5 days without the net. We have been like inside the 90s, we had been cool, man. Like we went out and we did stuff, you understand, we frolicked like humans related. Nowadays, 5 days without the net, humans might lose their minds. Well, what is that movie wherein human beings are like, you realize it's a one night time of 12 months that everyone is going and kills each other? It would be something like that. Failure modes, and there may be a residual failure mode in the XRP ledger, which is if too many validators fail. before people can respond to it. The ledger ought to halt its ahead development. That is a residual failure mode. It's extremely analogous to the double spend risk or reorganization danger in Bitcoin. The effects have a tendency to be less. They tend to be a halting of the ledger. So no person loses money at once. However, you need most reliability for ledgering. You do not need it to halt. So the manner the poor NL function works, and I assume this is vital, is it does now not exchange consensus at all. This is something very crucial to apprehend. So it has no effect on any of the XRP ledger's attributes that come from consensus. So that includes its censorship resistance, and that consists of its sort of decentralization, its equity, amendment vote casting, price vote casting, the other matters that validators do. Negative NL is carried out solely through the validation mechanism. To use a Bitcoin analogy for human beings now not familiar with the form of technical details of the XRP ledger, in case you consider like Bitcoin's decentralization and equity homes, they arrive from the mining and the production of blocks. But the very last validation, like the resistance to reorganizations, comes from each person participant's selection whilst to take into account a transaction. Very last, they may also wait for 6 confirmations. Negative NL impacts the A part of the XRP ledger that's analogous to awaiting confirmations. And that isn't always in which the decentralization or censorship resistance comes from, because the ones are solely nearby properties proper. It's a nearby choice while to just accept. All proper, you understand what? Let me find out. I assume I have to have completed something with the clip. I do apologize. Let me convey it lower back up for you, girls and gentlemen. There's a new clip with Brad Garlinghouse, a new interview. Here's far. The XRP become the second one maximum treasured virtual asset. And once more, that's before you had those exogenous factors that I could say were unnatural, perhaps not ethical in the web page, but you realize, and I think now you're due to the fact change. And I suppose you realize with a degree gambling discipline, I nearly consider it as if you preserve a bat. You observe how Trump now is using the term degree playing area proper. It's exciting. It's very thrilling to listen to the president-elect, the person who's about to be president, beginning to use the equal terminology as Brad Garlinghouse. But like the only way Trump is listening to degree gambling field is if it's Far Sons or Brad Garlinghouse is in his ear. And that makes me genuinely excited. Basketball beneath the water long enough, eventually you let go of it and yeah, it shoots up. But why are we amazed? Somebody became keeping it underwater, now it is growing. So appearance, I experience, love it, feels somewhat vindicating, I'll be honest with you. But I assume we ought to measure these over a protracted arc of time. I encourage Ripple employees, yes, we're aware XRP has long passed up in fee, but we actually do try to take a very long-term view about what we're building and the way that contributes to an internet of cost and how XRPE may be a critical issue of a web of value. Yeah. It's like seeking to disconnect a number of the speculation from manifestly the use case and ultimately how to consider the value. But my paintings as an analyst, we look at waft of funds masking shares for 20 plus years. And while you get rid of a huge barrier to inflows, what takes place is, and there's call for, fee is going up. And so we have been, I'm speaking approximately those ETFs, and I nonetheless, in my view, suppose we are within the very early innings of call for into just even the Bitcoin ETFs, not to mention as people form of cross down the course into other property. And so it truly is hundreds of billions of dollars